So limitations of the previous type of ripple counter is that the propagation delay will be produced. Okay, so when this propagation delay will produce, okay, your ripple counter will not give you the accurate count. So that particular disadvantage or limitation, we can say, that is eliminated in synchronous, or we can say parallel type of counter. So this flip flop has to provide a no state change simultaneously. Okay, so there is a no state change right here simultaneously with the input pulse, and we cannot use this propagation delay. Okay, so you can see there is a no state change simultaneously with the input pulse when you use this type of flip flop. So using synchronous or parallel counter, it will give you the, or it will overcome the existing limitation. Okay, counter, it will eliminate or overcome the limitation of the ripple counter, which we have seen in the previous cases. That is, when this flip flop is applied, it will give you a triggered simultaneously all the pulses. Okay, all the clock pulses it will provide to each flip flop simultaneously. It will trigger out, and it will give you with the input clock pulse. Okay, so you can see right here, this is the circuit diagram. This is the circuit diagram of this self-starting ring counter. This clock pulse is provided to each flip-flop, and simultaneously it will give the output. There is no the limitation of your asynchronous type of counter, because in asynchronous type of counter there is no clock pulse provided to the next state flip-flop. So that's why this type of propagation delay will be produced over there, and that limitation is overcome right here in synchronous type of counter. Okay, so we can classify these synchronous type of a counter in this SR type of counter, then series carry counter, parallel carry counter, and we will again devise this SR counter with the ring counter, twisted ring pair counter, that is Johnson counter. So these means it is counting in a ring. Okay, or it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, then again it will move from 0, 1, 2, 3. So same cycle it will perform over and over again. Okay, so then again this ring counter can be divided into not self-starting ring counter and self-starting type of ring counter. Okay, so so let's come to the first point, which is a not self-starting ring counter. Okay, so not self-starting ring counter, as the name start, it will not start its own. Okay, so it has to provide some extra clock pulse to start that ring counter. Okay, so it will work like a CISO, serial input, serial output. We have seen these shift register in the previous sessions. Okay, in the previous sessions we have seen these type of shift register. So what do you mean by this serial in, serial output? I have given you the one example. Okay, I have given you the example that, let's suppose that these are the four flip-flops. They are connected series with each other. Okay, these are connected series with each other, and when you provide some input from here, you will get the output right from here. Okay, and this is a synchronous type of flip-flop. Then you have to provide the clock pulse to each of these flip-flop. Okay, so similarly it will work right here. Okay, CISO, serial in, serial out, shift register, similar circuit you have to create right here. So this is AND carry counter. We can call it AND carry counter, or we can also call it as a synchronous counter. Okay, so this LSB of the flip flop give you the output, which is represented as Q0. Then this Q0 output will be provided or connected to the MSP flip-flop as an input. Okay, so you have to take the output from this Q0, and that should be provided to the input to the Q3 flip-flop. Okay, so in this manner you have to change the state. Initially, what you can write, you can take the clock pulse from the 0 to how many count it will count. It will use from 0 to 9 count. Okay. So let's suppose that it is a ring counter of a 3-bit. So how many possible combination it can make? If you have a 3-bit, okay, 3-bit, then how many possible combination it can make? Here you are using 4 flip-flop. Then 4 number of states you can create from this. Okay. If we have n flip-flop, then maximum count of a ring counter should be 2 raised to n minus 1. Okay. And decoding of this particular counter is very easy, and we have to there is no extra clock circuit you need to provide to this type of self-starting ring counter. Okay. And where we can use this type of counter, we can use this counter in analog and digital converter, and we can use this type of a counter in a stepper motor also. Okay. So this is the combination right here. You can see we have the 4 state. We are starting only that bit. Okay. Initially this Q3 will start, then Q1 will start. Okay. Then lastly this Q0 will start. Again we will use these 4 states. Then again we will start from this Q3, then Q2, then Q1, and lastly Q0. Okay. So in this manner you can shift the bits. Okay. Shift the bits. So similarly this bit is shifting right here. This bit is shifting right here. Similarly this bit is shifting right here. So this is performing the similar task as the shift register you have seen in the last session. Okay. So this same operation is performed right here. So it will shift all the bits to the right hand side. Okay. Now next we will discuss the self-starting ring counter. As the name suggests right here, self-starting. Okay. So it will start by its own. Okay. So we are using this 4-bit ring counter, and how many states you can use? This is the simple formula. If you have n flip-flop, then how many states you can use? You can use the n states. Okay. N states you can use. So we have the 4 flip-flop, so we can use the 4 states right here. Okay. And how many unused states are there? You can use the formula 2 raised to n minus 4 right here. Okay. So n is your value. So this 2 raised to n minus n. Okay. So this is the formula right here. So we are using 2 raised to 4 minus 4. So that is 12 unused inputs are there. Okay. And the clock frequency, input clock frequency is assumed as f. Then output clock frequency is f divided by n, where n is the states of this particular flip-flop, or we can also call this as a carry counter. Okay. So how this particular self-starting ring counter will work? We will start from this particular 0 0 0 0 value. Initially we will set the clock to the 0. So similar operation is performed right here also. Okay. You can see this particular bit is shifting right. Okay. On the right hand side, this bit is shifting toward the right hand side. Similarly this one bit is also shifting toward the right hand side. Okay. So it will work similar to the shift register. Okay. It is working similar as to the shift register. Okay. And we can create this self-starting ring counter by using this clock pulse. You are providing a clock pulse. So when this clock pulse will arise, this particular flip-flop will work, and it will shift the bit one by one. Okay. So initially you will send the clock pulse to each of these flip-flops, and you will set the value from this LSB. Okay. You will set the value from the LSB, and after 4 state it will change its value. Okay. You can see right here, this is the 4th state. Okay. After this 4th state, you will see this one value is changing. Okay. So how this is going to be happening right here? we are connecting this output right from here, okay, and we are taking the XOR operation from this value, and when you input as D3, so that's why at the fifth clock pulse it will change its state to the 1000. Okay, now next topic is a twisted ring counter. So as the name suggests, twisted, okay, so it will change its positions, okay, and how it will work according to the shift register, as we can studied or we have studied this particular shift register in the previous sessions also. Similar operation is shown right here, and we can name this twisted ring counter as a Johnson counter, and we can also name it as a switch tail ring counter, or we can also name it as a mobile counter or creeping counter. Okay, so these are all the names of this particular twisted ring counter. You will set the value to the 0, then you place 1, these 1 1 1, these 4 states you have to provide to the 1, and these 4 states you have to provide as 0. Okay, total 8 states are there, so all these values are shifting to the 1 bit. Okay, that's the main operation and nothing else we are performing right here. Initially we will set the 4t state to the 1, and last 4t states you have to set to the 0. Okay, so these are the clock pulses you have to mention right here. Initially all these clock pulses are set to 0, and you are providing this clock pulse from this side, so we will use the first clock pulse right here. So initially you will see this one is present right here, then this second clock pulse is going right here, so you can say again you have to put the one, then third clock pulse is going right here, again you have to put one, the last fourth clock pulse is going right here, you have to put one. Okay, then this output is to be fed back to the D3. We are not using this clock pulse right now. Okay, that's why we are putting 0 0 0 0, and we are giving the output feedback to the input of D3, so it will work like this. Okay, and with the n flip-flop, maximum count is 2 raised to power n minus 1, and in the Johnson counter the n flip-flop giving you the output frequency as f divided by 2n. Okay, and when we are using it as a counter, then it is entering into the unused states, and we can call it as a locked out state of the counter. And when we are using this fyb, so it will give you the decrease count, or when you connect this feedback right from here, you can see this is the feedback you are providing. Okay, this is the feedback you are providing to the D3 flip-flop, so it will decrease the state value. Okay,